Om Sairam. Sairam, brothers and sisters, welcome to the 11th edition of Samarpan on the occasion of Swami's Aradhana Day, which is actually being celebrated here today, even though the actual day is tomorrow, at the Sarva Dharma Service Center in Farmingdale Borough, Howell Township, New Jersey, United States. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing our Samarpan speaker for the month, our dear brother, Venkat Kodumudi. Brother Venkat was born in Trichy, India, and grew up in an industrial town called Mettur Dam in Tamil Nadu. It is here in Mettur Dam where he had a good fortune of joining the newly formed Sri Satya Sai Samiti. It was his mother who first brought Swami into the family, which also coincided with the formation of the Samiti. He joined Bal Vikas at the age of 7 and graduated Group 3 before moving to Chennai for his high school education in 1984. Although he has been in Bal Vikas since 1977, his first darshan of Swami was not until November of 1983, when his Samiti arranged for a Pati pilgrimage for Swami's birthday. Since then, he's had the fortune of receiving numerous darshans, viewing, sambhashans, conversations, and pada namaskarams, worship from Swami. He joined the Sundaram group as a pre-Sevadal at age 16, and in 2 years became a Sevadal. His Sevadal fortunes included serving in one of the adopted villages by helping dig a well and build a temple, among others. He's also helped in free medical camps in Chennai. His best experience as a Sevadal was serving in the ashram for Swami's 60th birthday in November of 1985. He spent a month inside the South Indian canteen in Perthi. He was also blessed to serve Swami as a Sevadal during Swami's annual visit to Chennai. He has had the fortune of cleaning Swami's room and delivering food for Swami. Swami gave his approval and blessings for him to go to the United States for further studies in 1990. He came to the Phoenix area in 1990 and was a young adult attached to the Mesa Sai Center. He has since been associated with Sai centers in Dallas, Texas, and the centers in the DC metro area, namely South Bethesda, Fairfax, and Loudoun. Venkat has served as an SSC guru for Group 3 and 4 children for over 8 years and has taught in South Bethesda, Fairfax, and Loudoun centers. He's held the offices of devotional coordinator, vice president, and president at the center level, and currently serves as the vice president of Region 2 of the Sri Satya Sai Global Council United States organization. He's married to Dr. Maitri, who was also a Bal Vikas alumnus, and she's accompanying him today, which we have a good fortune to have her with us. And they have raised 2 wonderful children, Sai Vignesh, studying law in Arizona, and Gauri, studying college at the University of Washington in Seattle. As many of you know, and I can tell you firsthand, Brother Venkat is a very familiar face for all of us during the annual retreats, which we have in the Poconos as part of the Mid-Atlantic regional retreats. And since he handles the transportation, and you'll see him in the parking lot and basically everywhere with a walkie-talkie in his hand. And I have worked with him, running the golf cart sometimes, and I know how demanding it is. And you can see him during the night and day, it's like the postal service, right? Come snow, what, rain, he's always there. He's always walking around. And that is the level of dedication I've seen in him. And it's very impressive that, he's true Swami Sevak. So with that, I would like to introduce Brother Venkat to come by and give us a Samarpan program for the next hour and a half. Sairam.
Sairam, everyone. With humble pranams at Swami's lotus feet, it's an honor and a pleasure. What more appropriate day should I have to serve, to share my experiences than the Aradhana Day? as that only stands for serving the community and serving the people. As and thank you so much for Brother Sai and Brother Rajan Bhai, who I've known since, I don't know, 15, 20 years. Since I started coming to the Mid-Atlantic retreat. And he's another familiar face for everyone, right? For everyone in the region. Thank you so much again. And my humble pranams to my humble gratitude to Swami for allowing me to share my love for him with all of you today. I'm going to start with a couple of prayers that I love and enjoy immensely to my heart. The first is, you all know the prayer that Swami wrote. Swami, O Lord, take my love and let it flow in fullness of devotion to thee. O Lord, take my hands and let them work incessantly for thee. O Lord, take my soul and let it be merged in one with thee. O Lord, take my thoughts and let them be in tune with thee. And O Lord, take my everything and let me be an instrument to work for thee. That, in essence, is the essence of what the love Swami has shown to me and to everybody, of course. A small prayer to Bhagavan as my Guru and as the eternal Guru, so that he will talk through me and let him tell what he expects me to tell everybody. Brahmanandam Paramasukhatam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvaditam Gagana Sadusham Tattvamasyadi Lakshyam Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. When I see this hall, it brings back a lot of memory for me of how the service, how actually Sundaram altar is. This is very similar to Sundaram altar, where, I don't know, numerous occasions of service activities that have gone through. You all probably know Dr. Ramani, who is now one of the vice presidents of the Indian National Organization, was my Seva coordinator when I was, I don't know, 18, 19 years old. I want to start with the edict that Swami gave us Sevadals in one of a private Sevadal discourses Swami gave us. I'm quoting Swami when I say, when it comes to his work, Swami's work is number one priority. Swami told us that you have to do my work. I will take care of your family. You don't have to worry about that. I'm going to start with a couple of incidents that Swami proved that he will take care of my family and what it meant to do Swami's work. I'll start with what it meant to do Swami's work. I was a senior consultant in a company called Pricewaterhouse. At that time, it was Pricewaterhouse. Now it is IBM. This was early 2000s when there was a Russian, of all countries, Russian employee of mine came into my office and asked me, Venkat, can I ask you a very personal question? I said, sure, go for it. He said, Venkat, do you know Sai Baba? I said, yes, I do. He goes, Venkat, the reason why I'm asking you this question is only Sai devotees, only people who follow and know Sai Baba have the ability, have the wherewithal to always smile no matter what the calamity is. And that is what I see in your face all the time. No matter what issues that we see at work, no matter what stress that you go through at work, I always see you smile. And that is only possible if you know Sai Baba. I said, Ilya, that's wonderful. Because yes, not only I know him, I claim to follow him. That incident was enough to tell in my heart that Swami is already starting the transformation. Swami is already going through the transformation, which is what his avatar is all about, based on what we saw in our, especially based on what we heard from our thought for the day, which is all about love. The second incident about why Swami said, I'll take care of your family, is I'm trying to bring my parents to the US I'm processing their green card right now. My father is 85 and my mother is 76, so it's time for them to settle with me. My mother, as usual, was praying to Swami as to what should we do? Should I go? Should I not go? Should we not go? And then next question she asked, what to do with the house? And Swami sent word through somebody. This is recently, very recently, about 2-3 months ago, or maybe 4 months ago. Swami sent word through somebody saying that, yes, you should go. And he said that the house you should sell, and don't worry, by April, everything will be done. I'm still trying to figure out what that sentence, by April, everything will be done, means. We are still trying to figure out. But the house did get sold. And when I was in India in March, the registration was completed. So that is, I believe, what Swami meant when he told us 25, 30 years ago that I will take care of your family. And my gratitude again to Swami that I have a blessed family that actually understands the meaning of that sentence, I will take care of your family. Because when it comes to his work, everybody in my family knows that they've lost me for that duration. I don't participate in anything at home. And I should. Only my gratitude to Swami for giving me that family that can support me in that way. In order for us to understand how Swami has been transforming me over the years, and how Swami has been blessing, giving the tools necessary over the years to be where I am, let's go back before I was born, or right around the time I was born. My grandmother, who's actually listening to the talk from India, my mother's mother, and my grandfather were in Mumbai for a visit to her brother, who used to live in Mumbai at that time. At that time, my father was sick, and I was about a year and a half old. I believe this is what my mother told me. So my grandfather my grandfather also does some horoscope. He's also an astrologer as well. Sorry, my grandmother's uncle. My grandmother's brother, older brother. He told my grandmother that there is a calamity coming to your daughter's family. He gave a small picture of Swami that apparently had fell out of a big picture of Swami, and said, ask her to keep it in her bedroom. Everything will be all right. So my mother brought it to the bedroom and kept it in, of course, the bedroom. My father became all right, and my grandfather passed away in a year or so. I don't know what that means, but maybe that meant that we needed my father more. And there's a history where my father took care of the family, not just us, but everybody else my grandfather was taken care of as well. To go further, how I was embedded in service, I have to tell you the story about my father. he is a lifetime Rotarian, and uh, his Rotary Club, the club that he belongs to right now, paid for him to become a lifetime Rotarian. I think it's $1,000 or something like that. No matter what it is, they paid for him to become a lifetime Rotarian. So he's a Rotarian for life. One of the times in Metro Dam where I grew up, he was the founder president of one of the clubs in Metro. And one of the things that he did as a president for his 2-year term was he started a process of picking a couple of villagers who need medical help from nearby villages. And the club would pay for the medical treatment of the villagers. Normally, people would stop there, choosing the villagers and paying them for the treatment. My father, not only did he pay for the treatment, Salem, which was about 35 kilometers each way, he would take his scooter every day after work, drive the scooter 35 kilometers in that traffic, and visit those people in the hospital and come back. He didn't stop there. He would stop at a temple on the way, pray for them, take the offerings, and keep the offerings at the pillow of the patient and come back. If that did not teach me unconditional love, I don't know what will teach me unconditional love. Later, I'm trying to get back to how Swami came into our life and how we started going into the fold, if that is the right word. I don't know what's the right word. Later, that incident was done, everything was done, and a few years later, maybe 3, 4 years, 5 years later, there was a person who was traveling from Kerala to our company where my father worked. And his family was in Kerala and he was alone in Metro Dam. And he happened to stay right across our house in the guest house that the company gave. So my parents used to call him all the time when he's here for dinner. Most of the days he'll stay with us. He'll come home and have dinner with us and go. One time he said, and my parents, they had a nice big altar. Oh, I should talk about that as well. They had a nice big altar. And my parents would invite him. And one day he said, there's one picture missing in your altar. I'm going to bring that picture next time. So he brought a picture of Swami the next time he came from Kerala. That picture is still with us. And we have had the fortune of Swami giving us even Amrit from that picture after that time. So that is kind of how Swami came into our family. And then one time my mother had, Swami came in her dream right when the Samiti was starting in Metur. Swami came in my dream and in my mother's dream and said, I'm right there with you, why don't you recognize me? That is when my mother started asking questions and found out that there is a Samiti in Metur, and we started attending, and everything else is history. Back to, I will take care of everything for you and your family. Recently, after the house got sold, now my mother's mind is, how do I get rid of all the sentimental things in our house? And the most important and sentimental thing is the altar in our house, the mandapa in the altar. And my mother has had it for years and years together. It so happened 2 weeks ago that a priest had come to our house. Now, remember, my mother has not said anything to anybody else, right? The priest had come to our house, and he was asking my father does every monthly rites for his parents, and the priest had come to our house to do the rites. And he said, I like the mandapam in your altar. My son wants something similar to it. Where did you get it? My mother said, you know what? We're trying to get rid of all these things since our son has called us. Why don't you have it? He said, you know what? If you're going to give that mandapam, I'll give what I have to my son and I'll take this. Look at Swami, right? Not only did he send the right person at the right time, he also knew that my mother will be happy if a priest takes this, because the right thing will be done for it. A couple of incidents that Swami had. Oh, one of the incidents that I forgot to tell you was apparently my mother told me recently, right when she was in Trichy, right before I was born, Swami had come to Trichy for a visit, and one of the devotees had asked my mother to come and see Swami. My mother refused. She said, no, why would I go? I'm just saying that only because Swami didn't stop there, right? Since then, these incidents have been happening. There's a couple of incidents that I wanted to bring up that actually solidified the faith in me. And those are some of the big ones that Swami has guided us. Quite a few, of course. I'm not going to go through the deck because I'm just, whatever Swami wants me to say, it's flowing. This was in 1984, I believe. No, not 1984. So still in Mettur, so 1982. I was actually sharing this incident with my family recently. I was in my 9th standard. There are two incidents I have to say. I was in my 9th standard, and I had just finished my exams. I think it was an English exam I finished, and next day was my Sanskrit exam. And I'd come home sick. So I was not feeling well. I was running a temperature. I just went home, dropped my bag, and I told my mom, I'm going to go to bed. So I went to sleep. I went to bed. Woke up around 6:30, washed my feet, and then I wanted to start studying for the next day. Those days, I used to carry, I made my own locket with cardboard and put two Swami's pictures on the locket. And I usually carry it in my pocket. I had left the locket on my table like I normally do. And then I came there. I saw something shining, a crystal shining on the locket. By the way, it's plastic cover with cardboard on the back with two Swami's picture, one on each side, so that it opens this way. I saw something like a crystal, tiny crystal shining. So I touched the crystal and I licked it. The crystal was sugar. So now my bedroom, which is where my table is nowhere close to the kitchen, 1. 2, my parents do not allow me to bring food in the bedroom, 2. Number 3, I remember clearly that I did not bring anything on that day. Of all the things, there was a tiny crystal of sugar on Swami's picture. I ate it. Then I started cleaning my table. You know how I'm sure most of you have gone to a beach and you have put your leg in water, and then you come back, when you come out of the sand, and the water dries out. You know how when you start walking, the sand pieces, crystals just shatter around, just like that. Swami's, my daughter is texting me, good luck. Just like that, Swami's, it's as if Swami had walked on my table. There were crystals of sugar everywhere on the table. Just like how the sand splatters. The crystals of sugar had splattered from one end to the other end. So I took the crystals of sugar and I slept. Within half an hour, I was fine, ready for studying. I was out the next day. Another incident that happened around the same time, this is what I was telling my children the other day. I was participating in long jump competition at school. And on the day when the long jump competition was going on, my parents were out of town. And of course, I jumped the longest, one of the longest, but I put my hand when I landed. So my hand broke. And my parents were not there. So the school took me to the hospital, and they had to take me to Salem because we didn't have enough facilities in medical facilities for this type of thing in Mettur. So they took me to Salem. They put me in anesthesia and they fixed the hand because the bone had twisted. So they had to fix me, and then they had to put the cast and sent me home. I slept for a day after that because of the anesthesia. Then I got up. In my parents' bedroom, there's a picture of Swami, and I actually saw kumkum in Swami's picture, literally. So these are some of the indications or intimations that Swami was continue to give me and give us to show that he's always there protecting us and guiding us. One other incident in Sundaram, when I was in Sundaram, that's why I meant this altar is feels at home for me. In Sundaram, this was 1986, when I was about to go to college from high school. As usual, it was a Thursday. I was going to Sundaram in July, I believe. Yeah, July. I had not gotten admission for any colleges at that time. And maybe it was June, admission at that time. And this incident was, I still remember it vividly, right? I will cry every time I think of this incident. I was thinking to Swami, I was praying to Swami, Swami, I don't know where you're going to send me to college, what you're going to do with me, but please don't go away from me. So this is my prayer to Swami at that time. And as a teenager, I challenged Swami. I said, Swami, I want you to prove to me that you're going to be with me all the time. And the way you're going to prove to me, Swami, is that I've not seen your room. I want to see your room. Swami's bedroom. Thought went away. Bhajan went on in Sundaram. And after Bhajan, we finished cleaning up, and the Ramani sir was the Seva coordinator at that time. And there was an announcement that was made saying all male Sevadals, all men Sevadals, and all men Bhajan group singers, please stay back after Bhajan. We have a meeting. So I'm sure you know where this is heading. This was literally 30 minutes after that thought went into my mind. And the challenge went into Swami. So we went to the Shanti Vedika in Sundaram, and that's where the meeting was. And Ramani sir said, Swami is sending 2 devotees that are high up in the organization, in the trust, tomorrow to Sundaram. So we have to clean Sundaram. So Ramani sir picks me and the Bhajan group co-convener at that time, Brother Kumar, not the S. Kumar that you know, there was another Kumar, because the funny part is S. Kumar's father was the altar person in Sundaram, and he's the one who always used to give Aarti to Swami when Swami is in Sundaram. It's a different story. That's how, anyway. So Kumar and he said, you two go clean Swami's room. By the way, this was literally 30 minutes after the thought went in. So we both went to clean Swami's room. Obviously, we were able to see Swami's room and talk to Swami. I'm sorry, clean Swami's room. It was midnight when we were all finished. Ramani sir came and we all came back to the Shanti Vedika again after all the cleaning is done. Brother T.G. Krishnamurti, I'm not sure if you know him. He came to the meeting at midnight and he said, Saram brothers, I'm just coming back from Whitefield, where Swami is right now. Swami sent word to me, to you all through me, to tell you that Swami is coming here tomorrow. Swami is coming on a personal visit, private visit. And Swami has told me, we were 18 of us, by the way, 8 Sevadals and 10 Bhajan group singers. Swami said, only 18 of you will be allowed to come inside Sundaram tomorrow. Nobody else will be allowed to come inside Sundaram tomorrow. As Swami is coming for a private visit, please don't tell your family either as well. You're not supposed to tell your family. Because Swami has told me that only 18 of you will have his darshan tomorrow. Swami is not coming for a public darshan. So I went home, and then he said, by the way, come back at 4 a.m. So I went home, and of course, my mother will be like, you're coming at midnight from Sundaram, you're going back at 4 a.m. to Sundaram, what do you expect me to believe? So she gets dressed up and she comes. Believe it or not, only the 18 of us were allowed inside Sundaram. The gate was closed for everybody else, including my mother. So they asked us to stand in a straight line from the gate to the entrance to Swami's interview room. Swami came, actually Sanjay Murali's father was the one who was driving Swami at that time, Dr. Vijayaraghavan. Swami came and stopped the car. It was a Maruti, red color Maruti car. Swami stopped the car, and as soon as he came into the gate, he started walking from the gate all the way to Shanti Vedika, looking at each and every one of us and blessing each and every one of us. And then Swami walked up, and like a mother, he turned around and said, did you guys all eat, have breakfast? And we all said, no, Swami. And Swami said, Swami has eaten, you go eat. So Swami proved above and beyond that, hey, are you challenging me? Not only will I accept your challenge, I will go above and beyond to show that I'm going to be with you. One more incident that I will not forget. No incidents will be forgotten. The interesting part, while Swami, all these incidents that Swami gave allowed me to participate in, Swami made sure, even if he is not physically present, he made sure that I knew that it was him who was running the show. Always, always. Never have I been in a place where he did not literally, I didn't surmise it. Somehow he will make sure that it was he who was running the show. Swami's 60th birthday, I was serving in the South Indian canteen, and those who were there for Swami's 60th birthday would know that the week surrounding Swami's birthday date, Swami gave free food for everybody who came into the ashram. And we had erected shamianas at the place where the round buildings are now, or the N buildings are now. I think it's N buildings. It was open land. So we had erected shamianas, and there were 50 shamianas, 25 on the men's side and 25 on the women's side, that was serving food. And we would have served about 5 lakhs of people every day for that week. So my job was, as a Sevadal in the South Indian canteen, to um, to do everything, to bring food from, sometimes help cook the food, sometimes bring the food in the bullock cart without the bullocks. We will drag the cart and then give the food to uh, every location or every one of those 25 areas, and sometimes serve the food. It was this one of those days I was serving at that time. I was one of the ones who had brought the last set of food from the South Indian canteen in the cart. I know there was no more food left. Maybe the food will be sufficient to serve about 100 people. There are about 5,000 people standing in line. So we were all serving food. And suddenly I turn around. Who do I see? No other than him. So he was walking, he was pacing back and forth. And then he asked somebody to bring a coconut. Swami cracked open the coconut. He sprinkled the coconut water and all the food. And he said, continue. And he walked away. He went away. There was not one single person who left without eating that food. During the same incident, same occasion, same time, Swami's 60th birthday. And this is, again, I mean, his love is enormous. There's no bounds to his love. I had some break time from the South Indian. By the way, South Indian canteen, our daily schedule was we would go in at 4:35 in the morning. We'll start with cooking for breakfast and tea, and we will and then we'll immediately switch to lunch, and then we'll switch to snacks, and we'll switch to dinner. By the time we're done with everything, it'll be about 9:30, 10 at night. And go back. It was so crowded that I slept. You know, I'm sure you know the West Prashanti buildings, the West 1, West 2, West 3, 4. I slept on the second floor of West 4 on the veranda outside a room. That was the place we got. And all our things were right there. So anyway, that was a routine. One day I got a break. And so I took the opportunity to go see Sai Gita. And it so happened that Jack and Jill were in the same area as Sai Gita. So as soon as I walked to the gate, I was looking at Sai Gita. I was talking to the person the tall person. I'm sure you know him with a turban on him. He's the one who used to take care of Sai Gita. And Jack and Jill, of course. I don't remember it was Jack or Jill. One of them jumped on me and it bit me. So he said, you should, I'm sure it's Swami's dog. I know it is Swami's dog, but you should just go check it out at the general hospital. So I walked to the general hospital and I was sitting for the doctor. Doctor came in and said, wait a minute, you're telling me that Swami's dog bit you? I said, yeah. He went in, he brought a packet of vibhuti and said, here, take it, go. So he said, so it's interesting, but the love that Swami shows through everybody and everything, every being, is just simply unfathomable, right? There was a time when, I forgot to show you this. The arrow is my mother. This was in the 2000s, where Swami had, my mother took a group of Balvikas children to Puttaparthi. And there's another picture that I didn't show where Swami was giving vibhuti to her, materialized vibhuti to her as well. So if I'm standing in front of you, there's anything, every experience I've had, I have to attribute to her. I will attribute to her. So going back to the story, there was a time, and I will talk a little bit about that. uh, there was a time when um, I was going through a rough time in my life, very rough time in my personal family life. And I made some mistakes in life and started swaying away from the path of Dharma. But Swami did not. Swami always stayed with me, kept through with me. It's an interesting incident to show that. During that time, I lost my job. I was laid off from a company called Sun Microsystems. Was it Sun? Yeah. And this is how the incident went. I was on a Monday. It was a Monday. The previous week, I had traveled to California and came back. Was it a Monday? No, it was a Tuesday. I traveled to California and came back. I had forgotten. I thought I had forgotten my badge to get into the office. So I went to the receptionist, and I was waiting, sitting there, when the receptionist was talking to somebody else. Her name was Cindy, and I was overhearing the conversation. And Cindy that was her first day. Well, actually, it was a Monday. So that was her first day. And Cindy happened to report to my boss. So she was talking, and it was around 9 o'clock, 9:15 at that time. She was trying to figure out where to go and what to do. My boss, his name was Kevin. He normally doesn't come in till 10:30. So since I overheard it was the same boss, so I told her, Cindy, why don't I take you? Why don't I show you around? And I will take you to the office or the conference room where the meeting is going to happen at 10:30. So we started walking around and we started talking. And Cindy saw my ring, which had Swami's picture on it. She goes, oh, you believe in Sai Baba? I'm like, huh? Cindy, I said, yes, I do, but how do you know Sai Baba? Then she goes, I have a degree in psychology and I have a degree in Eastern philosophy. I'm sorry, my focus was in Eastern philosophy. And it so happened that one of my professors in one of the classes had shown a picture of Swami, a video of Swami's work that he does for devotees, for people around him, the service activities. Since then, I've developed a liking for him. And even though I may not believe in him, but I believe in the work that he does for the community, for the society. And I read a lot of books about him from nowhere. And then we start talking about the fact that I'm afraid that I'm going to lose my job. And she goes, Venkat, this meeting of you and me cannot be a coincidence. It is meant to have happened. It's meant to have me to tell you that I know Sai Baba and the one who you believe in. And then she said, if you do lose your job, just let me know. I know the head of HR for Unisys Corporation personally well. We have dinner together once a week. I will make sure that you'll get an interview. So we parted ways. Next day, of course, I lost my job. I email her, Cindy, and I call her. I spoke to her once or twice after that. To date, I have no idea where she is anymore after that. I have no idea. Dropped from the face of the earth. She, just like she said, she forwarded my resume to Unisys. I got a call from Unisys. And even the interview process was amazing. Right? This was Christmas time. The week before Christmas was my interview, or Friday before Christmas was my interview. Unisys shuts down between Christmas and New Year. So I go to the interview, and the recruiter calls me back after the interview, and she says, Venkat, she goes, your hiring manager, I quote, said, where from heaven did this guy fall? Literally, because this is the exact resume we're looking for at this time. This same person, recruiter, told me when I was leaving the interview, she said, it's Christmas week next week. Most likely, you're not going to get a call from us till January after they come back from vacation. So they're all going from vacation. After the interview, they're done, they're leaving. I get a call that evening that says, they like you, they're going to hire you, here's your package. That evening. And within quotes, where from heaven did this guy fall? If this is not Swami, who else will it be? I did mention, I'm going to turn the topic a little bit. I do have a few minutes. Turn it a little bit to some funny things that Swami does, right? There was a time when funny but silly things, simple, subtle things where he teaches us. There was a time when I was going for service to Puttaparthi. I was going by myself. I took the bus from Bangalore. It's a 2 p.m. bus, I think. Those days, by the way, from Bangalore to Puttaparthi, there are 4 buses in the day. One starts at KSRTC bus, 8 a.m., 11 a.m., 2 p.m., and 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. Those are the 4 buses that go to Puttaparthi. So I was taking one of the buses. And within 15 minutes of the bus starting, or half an hour of the bus starting, one tire flat. So, by the way, we were all new to each other, don't know who's going on. I was sitting in the back 3 or 4 rows and new to each other. We're all looking at each other. Who's this person? Who's that person? Doesn't matter. Everything was new. So we were not talking to each other, nothing. So 15 minutes, half an hour later, one tire broke. We reached Chikpalapur, tire number 2 broke. Then within half an hour later, tire number 3 broke. So there's no more spare tires in the car, in the bus to change. So somehow they managed, change the tires, and we left after the 3rd time. We all looked at each other and said, we're going to start Swami's bhajan. So we started singing bhajan. Silly but simple. There was no more incidents after that till we reached Puttaparthi. One of the experiences that I have when I sing bhajan is if I don't attribute the singing to Swami before I start singing the bhajan, meaning Swami sing through me, or the flip side, or if I have the ego that I'm singing it, the bhajan will invariably come wrong. The shruti will go, the bhajan will invariably go wrong. Just simple. The other thing, simple but powerful thing that Swami taught me was when you ask me for something for yourself, most likely he will decide whether it is exactly what I ask him to give, or he'll decide the exact opposite. Mostly it'll be opposite. So I've learned not to ask him for myself. And he proved the point one time. This was when I was waiting for my son. We were waiting for my son's college admissions. It's been a while. He didn't get any response back from any colleges that he had applied to. I was on my flight to India at that time also. And I took up reading Tapovanam for the week to pray to Swami that get him an admission. I finished Tapovanam on the flight to India. And as soon as I landed from India, my son says, Dad, University of Maryland gave me admission. Literally. So Swami was so, I don't know what to say. He is proving to me over and over again that the more selfless you are, the more I'm going to be with you. And more to come on that. 1206, okay. There's a couple of things, couple of incidents. It so happened that Swami visited Metro Dam before we moved out of Metro Dam 1984, Swami happened to go to Coimbatore, Kodaikanal, and then from Kodaikanal he was coming back to Whitefield. The route has to go through my hometown. So I happened to be there, and Swami allowed me to be in the Vedam group at that time. This was when I was in my 10th standard. To invite Swami to come into Metro Dam. Beautiful, beautiful time. We were 4 of us dressed in regular Vedam group outfit, and invited Swami, and we were going in the front, and Swami was following us in by walking. Very good experience. Talking about experiences, I do want to say one experience about my father that changed his mind completely. My dad is a very big disciplinarian. We were raised being very strict. To the extent of strictness, it's an interesting story, that my dad founded the school and ran the school that we went to, my sister and I went to. There was a time when my dad was talking, it was raining heavily at Metur, and there was a time when he was talking to the principal of the school from our house, and they decided to give the school off on that day because it was raining. Right? Then he turned around, made sure that we got ready to school. He drove us to school in the rain for us to learn that the school was off just like any other kid from the school. And then he drove us back. He waited for us and he drove us back. That's the discipline I grew up in. So one time in 1984, my dad was going through a rough time in his company, and he was going to Bangalore to submit his resignation to the company in 1984. And Swami, and my mother was saying, you're going to Bangalore, why don't you go to Puttaparthi? Just have Swami's darshan and come. So my father was like, I don't know. I don't know when my meeting will be over. I don't know how long it's going to be. And if I get everything done, yeah, why not? I'll go and come. And you know what happened next. He goes to Bangalore. His work was supposed to be there till 4 p.m. He finished at 2 p.m. So he went to the train station. He took a ticket to Dharmavaram in the train. He went to Dharmavaram, 2 a.m. in the morning. Bus stand was empty, no soul. He doesn't know Telugu. So he was sitting there don't know what to do. Suddenly there's a milk van that came and stopped in front of him in perfect English. Swami, sir, are you going to Puttaparthi? And my father said, yes, I'm going to Puttaparthi. Hop on. So he goes to Puttaparthi. He talks to this person and he says, I'm almost done. I have a 5-minute video, so I'm going to jump to that video after that. Okay. So he goes to Puttaparthi, and he's talking to this guy. He has a bachelor's degree in commerce, and he's looking for a job, and he does this as a service. Every morning, he brings milk to the South Indian canteen to Puttaparthi. It so happened that he was driving through Dharmavaram bus stand, and so happened that he see my dad. It so happened, and so on and so forth. Right? And so my father goes to Puttaparthi. He shows my father around the ashram and says, sit here. This is the best place for you to sit. They will take you to darshan from here, and you'll have a good darshan. My father, in all the hustle, forgot to thank him. 2 minutes later, he goes around, cannot find the guy, cannot find the van. And the only thing that my father came back and said, the discipline that I see in the ashram with so many people is mind-boggling. There has to be some spiritual significance to that discipline. That's the only way this discipline can happen. No matter how big the crowd is, pin drop silence, people are following rules. He's like, there has to be something that's going on. Right? There's a couple of things I wanted to say before the video that I wanted to show. And one is obviously, all of these things are fun part, but where is the trouble that Swami gives, right? There's always something that goes on. I did mention to you that I strayed away from my path some time ago, 15, maybe 15 years ago. I was going through a rough time in my personal life. Swami, the rough time was going on for a long time, for a few years, and finally, it ended where I was very depressed, completely depressed in life. And Swami sent word again. Of course, my mother, as usual, asked Swami, what's going on, what to do. And Swami sent word through somebody saying that, why is he doing this? Literally, Swami says, why is he doing this? Number one, I know what he's going through. Number two, he knows that I know. He's my child. Number three, doesn't he know that I'm in his heart? Number four, he's so depressed that he is hurting me in his heart. Ask him not to do that. Number five, tell him I'm guiding him. He knows the right action. I'm guiding him. Let him do what his heart tells him to do. And then he said, I will take care of him. I will do what is right for him. Then he said, as for her, she's also my child, but I will take care of her also. Let him not worry about her. That's when I did what I had to do. And I'm smiling because she entered my life after that. That also was an interesting story where we met in a medical camp that I was organizing here in Virginia. It's the first time we met in the medical camp. She was a volunteer doctor in the medical camp, and that's history again. Again, a couple of fun stories. Swami was once giving Padanamaskaram to us, Sevadals. As Sevadals. And one time Swami said, be careful. Swami's leg is very soft. Don't press too much. Just funny, right? So I'm going to end with a couple of things. Swami is starting to teach me now that not only is he in my heart, he is not only in every human's heart, he is also in every being's heart. Just to prove that, again, we got a dog about 4 years ago. And we got her when she was 8 weeks old. And a month later, dogs, when they're little, there's a lot of work. They are a lot of work. You have to let them out every 2 hours. You have to train them, this, that, and the other. So I got to a point where I was a little I shouldn't say frustrated. It was overwhelming. That's the right word. And I was telling Maitri that, maybe we should just give her back. Then a few days later, I was, maybe a week later, I was doing my Pradosha Puja. I do Pradosha Puja, I do Rudram chanting, I do Abhishekam to Shivalinga every Pradosha. And I finished my Pradosha Puja, literally a minute or 2 minutes. I left the prayer room and I went to do something in the kitchen to come back. Excuse me. That 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes, the Abhisheka milk that I had in a silver cup, which was tiny covering, she had finished the entire milk of the Abhishekam within split seconds. I come back, there was no milk for any of us that day. Then I looked at her, my wife, and say, wait a minute, is Swami telling me something? That I'm the one who sent her and I'm supposed to take care of her? By the way, those incidents like that still repeat to date. A few days ago, for Ugadi, we were doing the puja and we had broken a coconut. And she kept the coconut in front of the puja room for Swami. One entire side of coconut she took and she finished it. So again, Swami keeps telling me that you fool, not only am I in your heart, not only in everybody's, in every human being's heart, I'm also in the heart of every living being. It is me that's guiding everything. So with that, what does it mean? What is the essence? At least this, what I took out of it. What does it mean to serve Swami? What does it mean to love Swami? What does it mean to be transformed by Swami? What is Swami expecting of us? I have a 5-minute video I'd like everybody to see, because that video gives the essence.
We've discussed dharma, we've discussed dharma sankat. Both the Mahabharata and the Ramayana sort of talk of many different instances of what is the road to dharma, the principle, and what constitutes dharma sankat, right? We have a very interesting question in from Ajay Piramal, referring to both these great books and what he draws from that.
What are the learnings that we can get to apply in the modern world from the Mahabharata and also from the Ramayana? And sometimes on first reading, it looks that there are several contradictions into what is said in Mahabharata and what is said in Ramayana. Can you just explain that to us?
You see, Ramayana and Mahabharata are both considered itihas. Now, itihas is conventionally translated as history, but it actually means it's a tense agnostic term, which means so it was, so it is, and so it will be. That means it is timeless.
Right.
One. Second is, let's look at the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. They exist in two different contexts, so they cannot be seen as equals. And that's the mistake. The Western mind forces us to look at them as equal.
Why don't
books.
the two communicate the same message
thing? Because
to us?
you see, you have standardization, obsessed with standardization. But हमारा क्या स्वादानुसार है? तो एक स्वाद है द्वापर युग का, एक स्वाद है त्रेता युग का. So one is for the Treta Yuga, which is an earlier, more innocent age, and a later phase in the organization, which is darker, which is slightly more corrupt.
Okay.
Now, if I have to do the principle of dharma again, just to revise, you have got 0, plus, minus, 0, animal instinct.
Right.
This is exploitation. This is empathy.
Right.
Dharma is here, adharma is here.
Right.
Now let's do a simple 2x2 matrix to understand the Ramayana and Mahabharata. So you have rules on one side.
Right.
Rules are followed, rules are not followed.
Okay.
Then we have the principle on the other side, dharma. Dharma is upheld, dharma is not upheld.
Right.
Now look at the Ramayana. In Ramayana, dharma is upheld and rules are upheld at the same time. So you have Ram. So rules and dharma are aligned. Everything is about the other. Everything is about the other. Everything is about the other.
Even at the cost of oneself.
Even at the cost of oneself.
Almost always at the cost of oneself in the case of
almost always.
Yes.
So it's misery in the forest, misery in the palace.
Got it.
His opposite is the great alpha male, which somehow people seem to like today, tells you about the times, is Ravan.
No dharma, no rules.
No rules, no dharma. Your wife is my wife.
Right.
And I'm an animal. Even my son dies, I will not let go of my little toy. My brothers die, I will not let go of my little toy. That's Ravan. Now look at this same thing. Rules are broken, bending, and Krishna always bending the rules, breaking the rules. But the principle is intact. It's always for the other.
Okay.
Now let's look at the most favorite character, Duryodhana. He never breaks the rule.
But he's constantly violating the principle.
He's constantly violating the principle. He is holding the letter of the law, never the spirit of the law.
Okay.
This is the spirit. This is the letter. This is the belief. This is the behavior. He's a pretender.
Where does Yudhishthir fit in all of this?
Yudhishthira is someone struggling to be Ram. He moves from here to here. This is the journey of Yudhishthira with the help of Krishna. You see, his honesty is about rules. He's not realizing it's not about rules, it's about principles.
Right.
Mahabharata is the story of focus on the principle. You say, so when a woman is being disrobed, everybody is discussing legal matters. Is it okay or not okay to disrobe her? I mean, grow up. This is Bhishma and Drona watching a woman being disrobed, and they are supposed to be very educated people, and they are not doing anything.
This brings me to a very interesting issue. You said that the Ramayana comes from an older age, an age of more innocence. The Mahabharata comes from a darker age.
Yes. It's a more matured organization. This is a very early phase organization, just tasted success. Everything is right. Market is right.
And
people
the
are
principles have just been
right.
created.
So it's exciting and new. People are not smart enough to subvert it yet.
Right. Here, in this
Matured
stage, you've gone
organization.
from principle to now a slightly more rule-focused organization.
The principles have been forgotten. Rules have become more important. So it's bureaucratic, highly bureaucratic. Letter of the law. Spirit of the law is not there. Like any bureaucracy. All the rules are upheld, but people still don't have food. So the principle is forgotten. The woman is disrobed, but nobody's arrested.
Next week on Business Sutra.
So it's always about the others. It's only about the others. To me, my belief is this is what Swami is here to teach us. This is what Swami is here to tell us, that it is always stupid. It is always about the others. It's only about the others. It's nothing else.
Sairam, Brother Venkat, that was a wonderful talk. It was very short talk for us. We would have expected another half hour at least. We did have that much time, but I'm sorry, it's perfect though. I mean, the video is so, enamoring actually, the talk. And, talking about taking to Mettur Dam and talking about Sundaram, because I'm also from that area, so I kind of relate to, Sri Ramani Garu and so many other things you're talking about. I think the essence of Samarpan is what this is, that we have Swami being projected through us, through all these people. And believe me, everybody who comes to the Samarpan program comes back with a lot of energy, right? So, and you captured that very, very well, wonderfully. And, one of the incidences which you talked about was about the food, which, Swami made for 1,000 people to 5,000 people or something like that. We have similar experiences at Sarvadharma quite often, actually. Even the last birthday, we were expecting very few people, right? We had only food for 10 people, actually. Normally we have more than that, but we had 60 people that day. And at the end of the whole process, we had leftover. So, that's where Swami's Leela has always been everywhere. Swami, one thing I do notice with Swami is that food is one thing he pays a lot of attention to, that, he makes sure that everybody's well fed. And there's never been an instance where I have seen where we ran out of food in any of the Swami's organization at any activity. I think that's one of the very pointed thing which I can see. Besides that, you have a lot of experiences, which is wonderful for us to share. And I think I can go on. So, but at this point, we will thank you for coming by, especially in a short notice coming in from, from DC area. We really appreciate both of you coming by here. So to honor you for that, I would like to have Brother Rajan Bhai come by and give you a token of appreciation for us. Please do. And then, of course, Sister Maitri's been here. She came with, Brother Venkat all the way. And, we didn't hear your story, but of course, Venkat says, so we're going to hear on the day, I hope. And we like to honor you as well for coming by. So please do come here. And Satya is our, favorite child of the family here, would like to honor you. So with this, we conclude our Samarpan and we'll have our Maharati, if you can come by. Okay, Sarah.
लतीका आश्रित कल्पलतीका आपद्बान्धवा ॐ जय जगदीश हरे मातपिता गुरुदैवमु मरियन्तयु नीवे स्वामी मरियन्तयु नीवे नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नागेन्द्र शयन ॐ जय जगदीश हरे ओंकार रूप ओजस्वी ओ साई महादेवा सत्य साई महादेवा मंगल हारति अंदुको मंगल हारति अंदुको मंदर गिरधारी ओम जय जगदीश हरे नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा ओम नारायण नारायण ओम नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा ओम शांति 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 समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय भगवान श्री शिरडी साई बाबा जी की जय माता जी की जय ब्रह्मैव तेन गन्तव्यं ब्रह्मकर्म समाधिना अहं वैश्वानरो भूत्वा प्राणिनां देहमाश्रितः प्राणापानसमायुक्तः पचाम्यन्नं चतुर्विधम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः विचित्रं बाबा विभूतिं परमं विचित्रं लीला विभूतिं परमार्थ इष्टार्थमोक्ष प्रदातं बाबा विभूतिम् इदमाश्रयामि लीला विभूतिम् इदमाश्रयामि. Miraculous Baba's creation, blowing from his blessing hands, holy creation, granting us the greatest wealth, God's divine protection. Beloved Baba, grant us liberation. Beloved Baba, grant us liberation. Oh.